Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town Council. Today is Monday, October 6th, and I'm going to ask Councilor Zambrello to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Zambrello. Sue, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Lesser,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Forrest,
Here.
Councilor Bailey,
Here.
Councilor Carbone,
Here.
Councilor Clancy,
Here.
Councilor Durick,
Here.
Councilor Rhodes,
Here.
Councilor Timbrow,
Here.
Councilor Zambrello.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. We are all here, which is great. And the next item on the agenda is we have a proclamation for National Hispanic Latino Heritage Month. I'm going to read that, and then we'll go into our public hearing right after. Whereas Hispanic Latino Heritage Month highlights all the Hispanic and Latino cultures found within the Americas, as well as the diversity and positive contributions to their communities, and whereas the observance had its start in 1968 with Public Law 90-498 approved by Congress. In 2019, the Library of Congress, the National Archives, and the Records Office, let's continue a few more, the Humanities Endowment, the National Art Gallery, the National Park Service, Smithsonian, and the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum all joined in paying tribute to the generations of Hispanic Americans who have profoundly shaped and enriched our country and our culture. And whereas today, Latinos continue to advance communities throughout the country as small business owners, veterans, teachers, public servants, artists, lawyers, in organized labor, and many other professions. And whereas it is most fitting to set aside this month to highlight and honor the history and heritage of Hispanic Latinos and to remember and pay tribute to their contributions to our town, our state, and our nation. It is National Hispanic Latino Heritage Month. It is September 15th to October 15th. Now hereby, Ken Lesser, Mayor of Wethersfield, proclaim this time period, September 15th to October 15th, as Hispanic Latino Month in Wethersfield. Thank you. It's a mouthful, but it's important to recognize important heritage. So moving on in our agenda, everyone, our next item is C-1, a public hearing. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned to you all at the last meeting, we had an application from 341 Jordan Development, LLC, for a tax incentive abatement. So we convened the committee that we have per the ordinance. The town, we have a tax incentive program committee, which consists of myself, the finance director, the tax assessor, the economic development manager, and a member of the EDIC. We met and reviewed that application. The applicant presented to us, a number of questions were asked. They provided us with additional information, and at this point, I'll ask the applicant, Joe Calafiore, to come up and he can explain the project in more detail, but long and short of it is the committee does recommend issuing tax incentive agreement with 341 Jordan Development.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager, and as our regular practices, we will hear from the applicant, we will then open it up to the council, then we'll open it up to the public. So Joe, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Calafiore, the managing partner of 341 Jordan Development. My partners and I want to thank you for giving us the time tonight to present our vision for redevelopment of this property. I did want to spend a few minutes and give you the background of how we got here. As you're aware, this former nursing home has been abandoned for over 10 years and has become an eyesore as well as a nuisance for the town and its abutting neighbors. An offer was made on the property in 2021, and after extended negotiations, we closed on the purchase in 2022. At that time, interest rates were about 3.75%. They now exceed 6%, significantly impacting the project financing. In addition, construction costs have risen by more than 25% over the past 4 years. The property also presented tenant challenges. I'm sure many of you know that. An existing tenant under a long-term lease refused to vacate. So from 2022 through December 2024, we were engaged in litigation, which was ultimately resolved with a substantial settlement payment to secure possession of the property. Further complicating redevelopment, the site contains an abandoned structure requiring environmental remediation and demolition at considerable additional cost. While we explored brownfield funding, the process has proven too lengthy and burdensome to pursue. I just want to go over a few things that I think are going to benefit the community. The redevelopment of 341 Jordan Lane will provide substantial benefits to the town of Wethersfield, including revitalization of a blighted nuisance property, improving neighborhood aesthetics, and increasing surrounding property values. Enhanced safety by reducing demands on fire and police services, often associated with vacancy and degradation. Increased tax revenue through real estate and personal property assessments. Positive community amenities such as fitness center, walking trails, dog parks, and community space will be added. We believe that the proximity to major roadways, access to a park, and vicinity to shopping and restaurants in town will attract young professionals and retired individuals who wish to live in market rate apartments with great amenities. They want easy access to parks, restaurants, entertainment, shopping, and other community events. Many are not ready for or are tired of the burden of maintaining a home, especially a lot of young folks. They don't want to take care of any property. They just want carefree. We believe that young professionals and empty nesters will want to live here and stay. I believe 341 Jordan Lane is well situated to contribute to the growth and vibrancy of Wethersfield. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. I'm now going to open it up to the council for questions or comments, and then we'll open the hearing to the public. So, councilors, any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Thanks, Mayor. Joe, this proposed project of yours, we have a lot of new projects around the greater Hartford area, Bloomfield, the Borden was built here. Can you give us sort of a flavor for what you expect this project to look like in its scope and also just visual appearance? Are there any other projects that we've seen around the greater Hartford area that you think this will sort of model after? Newington even has some new ones down near the train station or the bus station down there.
Well, the project's going to be 3 phases. There'll be 3 phases. First phase will be 34 units. Second and third phase will be 63 units. The first phase will have a community center, exercise facilities, offices, and common areas. The exterior, I don't know if you saw in your packet, you can see the layouts and the exterior of the building, which you will see what they look like. I built a similar project in West Hartford, and we used a lot of similar finishes and looks on the exterior. They're a little lower, those buildings, but they're on Berkshire Road near West Farms Mall. So if anybody wants to go there or wants to see it, it's 10 Berkshire Road. You can even go up on Google Maps and take a look at the finishes. The lower levels will be all brick, and they'll be full brick, not the stick-ons. And then the upper levels will be siding. All the units will have a deck area or patio people can sit out on. The first building we're going to do is the closest to the residential, so we intentionally left that lower at 3 stories so that the sight line from the single-family homes with the existing trees that are there, you won't be able to see up there. And then the buildings further to the east, near the Department of Labor, will be the 2 4-story buildings. I'm trying to think of anything locally other than what I've built that would look similar to this. And
West Hartford's pretty local, so it's greater. I give you greater Hartford, so it wasn't like, hey, within a 2 feet of the radius. So a couple just items. I was recently walking around the neighborhood talking to a lot of the neighbors, and they're very excited for this land to be redeveloped into something that it's not right now, which is blighted property. So I think we're very excited for that. The second thing is, also talking to a lot of residents. You mentioned there's a lot of people that are retiring, right? And they had their 2,000 square foot house, 2,200 square foot house, 1,800 square foot house, and they're looking to relocate into something, of course, that doesn't have as much maintenance, very normal, but also a similar size. Will some of these apartments be of that size, like of
Yeah.
larger, larger apartments where you could host a larger family gathering, right, or something like that? I'm curious about that kind of.
So we have three sizes. Actually, I should say three types. We have a studio, 1 bedroom, and 2 bedroom. And some of the 2 bedrooms, especially in the first phase, are larger. They're like closer to 1,250 square feet. The studios are smaller. They're like 650 square feet. And the 1 bedrooms are in between in that 800 to 900, 950 square feet. So the 2 bedrooms, and some of them are larger, are probably big enough to you have a kitchen, living room area, and the bedrooms, and each bedroom has its own bath. So I would think that would fit the bill.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it, Joe.
Yep.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Further council questions or comments? Councilor Clancy.
So you mentioned that you had to do some environmental remediation. Can you give us some specifics and tell us
Yeah.
what you need to do?
So that building was built between the 60s and the 90s, and the earlier phases are contaminated with asbestos and lead. So we did our study, and we have to do a remediation, environmental remediation on the entire building. The last phase of the back is much less. There's not as much because that was built in the 90s. The front 2 phases have extensive amount of remediation.
So it's just the asbestos, though? There's not
Mostly
other-
asbestos and there's lead in there.
Oh, there is, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Well said, Councilor Clancy. Thank you. Further council comments or questions? Councilor Timbrow.
Hello. So the last time this was brought up, I remember there being an affordable housing component to this. So I was just wondering if you could go into a little bit more detail about.
Yeah, so we came in before the council and zoning approved, or has, I think you have a mandate now. So prior to that, we volunteered to do 5%. So we'll have 8 apartments that will be at 80% of median income. I know that's below what the town target was, but seeing the times we're in and the financial struggles to make this work, that's why I'm here, to help that, we still offered the 5%.
Thank you, Councilor Timbrow. Further council questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you. We appreciate it. And this is back on the agenda for a possible vote later. And now I'm going to open up the public hearing. And if anybody wants to speak about this item only, we'll have general public comments coming up. Just please state your name and address. Mr. Martino. Tony, name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tony Martino, 374 Highland Street. I sat on the dais and we always looked to see what we could do to increase our commercial base so that there wasn't such a burden on our residents. Unfortunately, the last reevaluation, the commercial rate increase was lower than the residential rate, which is affecting us. But this project is definitely going to help our commercial base. I'm just going to give you some round numbers. I sat on economic development. I heard Mr. Fiore's presentation numerous times there, and I'm in favor of it because before he finalized his plans, he went around to all the residents and got their input. So it's being built resident friendly because the people in the neighborhood like what he wants to do. But number-wise, okay, current taxes on the property, $26,000 a year because of the condition of the land and the building there. Now, taking this incentive program into account, we figure it'll take over 10 years before everything's done with the incentive program. So 26,000 times 10, 260,000 over 10 years is what we'll collect if nothing is done. If this project is done, we will collect at minimum $500,000 in building permits. He's projecting car taxes coming in at $139,000. The cost or giveaway that we're remediating him giving is like around $3 million. But if you take those other numbers plus what he'll be paying during this time, it'll be $3 million. So we'll be collecting $3 million over 10 years versus $261,000. This definitely helps lower the gap and the effect of our residents. Because of the number of two families versus one in studios, it should have a minimal effect on our schools. So where I looked always to be pushing our commercial base, this will do it. I ask you to please vote in favor of this tax incentive. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you for serving on that committee. Further public comment just on this? Yes, Bob, Mr. Woodward.
Thank you. Bob Woodward, 456 Middletown Avenue. I would like to echo the previous speaker in that we need to change the base of taxes in this town drastically from residential to commercial. This will help. I know that building. Actually, I was in there visiting someone the day the tornado went through. It looks like a haunted house now and has for some time. This will be a big improvement, but let's not stop here. Let's keep the shift to commercial tax bases going because we really need to do that to help the residential homeowners in this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Further public comment on this? Yes, Mr. Young.
Good evening, Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. What was said regarding this issue is that we're only going to get $261,000 if there's no development, but he's not going to sit on it and do nothing like the foodways. He's going to have to do something with the property if he has money tied up in it. And to give him this benefit of how many dollars? $3 million or whatever it is? That's coming out of the regular taxpayers. They have to make up that difference. That's what I'm saying. And because they have to make up that difference, I don't believe we should go into this deal. I believe he will have to go into the deal building his apartments. He has money invested. And he's a good businessman. But he needs to do it on his own. Secondly, this is no more than corporate welfare by giving out advantages. When I read in the newspaper about people up in Hartford, in the Hartford House of Representatives and in the Senate, they complain up there that the wealthy don't pay their share of taxes. This deal is opposite. You're allowing the wealthy not to pay taxes. It's the same idea as the referendum $239 million bonding. I'm not going to be buying those tax-exempt bonds. The 1%ers, the 2%ers of the state of Connecticut will buy those and get no tax-exempt. It's totally wrong to give out tax-exempt money like this, and that's what it is. You're exempting him from tax. Yeah, he's a 1 or 2%er in the state of Connecticut. He can well afford it. And your own party rants and raves in Hartford, Mayor, that the wealthy don't pay enough taxes. Let him pay his taxes. You have no problem paying the tax. And it's up to you. If a
Mr.
person
Young,
came
I
to
ask you to
Weathersfield,
address the
if a
council,
person
not the
came to
audience, please.
Weathersfield to buy a house, and he bought a fixer-upper and needs to be torn down, could he come into this town hall and ask for a tax-exempt deal? Could he? Hell no, because he's not a 1 or 2%er. Those are the guys that get all the deals. The rest of them hit the road because you won't give it to that other person. And that's the attitude you've got to take. And you've got to stand firm on this. Paying millionaires, giving them tax advantages is wrong per the Democratic Party in Hartford. And that's what you're doing here. You're creating a safety net by having these abatements. A safety net. They call it for poor people, a safety net. Well, it also is a safety net for him.
Please address the council.
And he's
Mr.
able to save money at the expense of everybody in Weathersfield, and that's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. And when we close this public hearing, the applicant can make any comments he would like. Joe, is there any other public comments just on this item? Yes.
My name is Dee Garcia, Sherburne Road in Weathersfield. I'm against, number one, the abatement, and I'm also against the proposal of what you're proposing. We do not need more apartments in this town. I think we all know what accompanies apartments when you build them in any town. More school services. That increases, certainly, the tax problem in this town. We do not need any more apartments. None. In my proposal, I don't know why you're not thinking of this, we do need senior housing, if anything. We need that, yes, with the aging population. We do not need apartments. And I just really am concerned because I don't think you're looking at the full picture of the town, where we do have an aging population. And there's a lot of people that would like to continue living in Weathersfield. And they would like to sell their home and live in town. But with the increasing tax burden that has now been reflected with the reevaluation, it's going to become very difficult for them to live in this town, paying those taxes. And yet you want to bring in apartments? Where's the logic? Where is the logic? Please scrap this apartment proposal and propose to this individual senior housing. Please, I really ask you to do this. And I'm asking you certainly to vote no on the apartments, and certainly, please, never consider any tax abatement. We can't afford that in this town. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Further public comments on the hearing item? Anyone on this item? Seeing none, I will ask the applicant if he'd like to address any of the... close the public hearing. Thank you. The public hearing is now closed, and I will ask the applicant to address Joe.
Calafiore.
You have the
Thank
floor.
you. So I'm going to start with schools. I built similar apartments before. In my West Hartford project, we have 0 school-age students, almost 30 units. We did a study. It was brought up at zoning commission. We did a impact study. And at the 160 units, the most we're going to see is about 15 students. Remember now, studios is typically for a single person, and 1 bedroom is maybe for a couple. The only place you'd get a child is for the 2 bedrooms. So when we did the study based on the, it was based on United States Building Association's studies, we came up with about 15.6 students would be about the max. So if you take that that would be the absolute most you would have. Secondly, the economics. This project, we're going to invest $50 million in this town. If I take the project the way it is, with the taxes the way they are, where interest rates are, and with the tariffs now that, I don't know if you saw 2 weeks ago, kitchen cabinets now are going up 80%. Steel went up 15% about a month ago. The project's dead. So we will not move forward with this project because I can't get a bank to loan us. And I don't have $50 million because I'm not in the top 2% in the state. So I'm going to leave that as it. I also want to show you what this property looks like, okay? And you tell me if this is what you would like.
We just looked. We, yeah.
Yeah,
We
we
have
have. Does anybody?
We have
We
it.
have it.
We got the
but
whole thing in our-
We have it, Joe.
So
Thank you.
my point is, I've been for 4 years now trying to get this done. And I have looked into brownfield. We've talked to CHFA. The town's been very helpful trying to find other sources of funding, and they just don't work. So without this, I'm asking you nicely to consider all the economic factors and vote yes for what I think is going to be quite an addition to the town of Weathersfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We will now move on in our agenda to our regular public comment, and I will read the statement I read all the time. During public comment, members of the public will have 5 minutes to speak on any issue. We have a lighted timer at the podium to help each speaker be aware of the time remaining for them to address the council. When you step out of the podium, please state your name and address. At this point, the green light will come on showing you have 5 minutes have begun. The yellow light will come on when you have 1 minute left. At this time, we ask you to begin to wrap up your comments, and the red light will come on when you have reached the 5 minute limit. After speaking, we ask you to return to your seat or exit the council chamber so the next person may speak. I ask that you address your comments to the entire council and refrain from speaking directly to or about individual council members or the audience. I ask that you refrain from derogatory comments or personal attacks, and always please remain respectful. This section is for the public comment, and the council will generally not engage in a back and forth dialogue during this portion of the agenda, but if follow-up is needed, please leave your contact information with the town clerk, and the town manager will follow up with you. At this time, I open the regular public comment session, and who would like to go first? Anyone for public comment? Yes, Christine, I think that's you there, yeah. Hi.
Took the scarf off. Christine Lasella, 37 Belmont Street. So my day got away from me, so I'm really not organized, but a couple things. I still have confusion regarding appointments to the boards and commissions, and specifically a couple months ago I brought it up about the historic district being one of them. And I feel a lot of the appointments are overly political. I did ask the question and was given the explanation. There's Democrats in majority and Republicans in the minority, and that's how it's shoveled around. But there was people, there was a gentleman who is unaffiliated who applied to come back to the HDC. He had served on it 10 years ago. His name is John Maycock. I had a conversation with him and he gave me permission to share the story. He had an interview with the Democratic Town Committee on July 14th. He had to cancel it, and he tried 3 times to reach back out to the screening, what do they call her?
Chairperson.
Chair, and I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, take your time.
And she never got back to him. And so here's a guy who had 10 years on, unaffiliated, didn't get put on, didn't get a call back. There's a woman who currently serves on HDC, Katie Simons. She's a Democrat. She's an alternate. By precedent, which I haven't found in writing yet, but I'm told there is that precedent that she should have been moved up. Now, this does not necessarily affect me personally, other than I just don't think it should be so political. Boards and commissions are for everybody, and I know the town manager stated in the past, not all towns do it this way, and I really, really want to ask the council, whoever comes back, maybe we can take into consideration, because there's more than just these people that are disappointed that they didn't get looked at or didn't get a call back, and it just feels like it would be less divisive if these boards and commissions weren't so political, because they shouldn't be. The other item that's been on my mind is the parking lot in Old Weathersfield. Somebody made a reference of it to me the other day, that they were privy to the Cultural and Tourism had a meeting, and they said that that parking lot was approved, but to my knowledge, it has not gone in front of Planning and Zoning, and I know it hasn't gone in front of HDC because I checked their schedule. So I don't think it's been approved yet. I'm asking you to reconsider, and I know there's been statements. I don't know whose idea it was to put it behind the firehouse. I know some of the money is ARPA money, the $250,000 that came from the $1.1 million of the plastic field that was supposed to go on Mill Woods. That was said we have to put that field there. So I'm asking, do we have to put the parking lot behind that firehouse? And can't we just go reapply and say, hey, it's not safe. The firehouse is not safe. It's the widest driveway in Old Weathersfield. This past Thursday, somebody was hit on Main Street by a car. I was working, my nephew texted me, and it was a serious injury. I don't know the details. I don't think it's important necessarily, but the fact that somebody was hit by a car speaks volumes about how congested and how busy it is down there. I was at work. I saw the ambulance go by. 25 years ago, in June of 2000, a little girl was hit and killed on Main Street. And I'm not saying these accidents are anybody's fault, but we as a community can stand up and do something to keep people as safe as we can. The fire chief told me that he has shared it is not safe. He doesn't think it's a good idea to put a parking lot behind that firehouse. You're going to have firefighters coming in and out. I think it was last Sunday or the Sunday before, there were 5 or 6 calls on that one day alone. I think there's an average of 2 calls a day for these firehouses. And I think having that wide of a driveway, I saw the drawing, it's going to be like stamped concrete. People don't pay attention. People are on their phones, people are looking out the window. They're looking at one of a million signs. So I think this is a tap on the shoulder, like, hey, you guys, don't do this, seriously. And that, my opinion was safety from day one, and I had other opinions, but this happened the other day. One person's too many, now 2, and again, that's nobody's fault, and I really am begging you to reconsider and go over to the Keeney. It says Keeney Center, the visitor center. And we could do so much more with that building as a visitor center. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you. Further public comment? Yes.
Nancy Correa, 95 Griswold Road. The following comment was made by a town council member at the September 15th town council meeting concerning council code of conduct surrounding the school referendum. Any member of the council can have an opinion. You're not supposed to use town resources. Article 21, Code of Ethics and Board of Ethics, 1064. Policies. The proper operation of democratic government requires that public officers and employees be independent, impartial, and responsible to the people of Weathersfield. A semicolon is utilized, which signifies an independent clause. There is only one meaning for the word impartial: to be neutral. The actions of some members of town council concerning the last referendum and many other instances were anything but impartial. Appearing on Channel 14 and writing to the Rear Reminder endorsing the last referendum, among other actions, is the antithesis of impartiality. I understand the pickleball courts are being built at Millwoods because of a town council edict. However, the Parks and Recreation Director was unable to answer basic questions concerning the 4 proposed pickleball courts at Millwoods Park during the Planning and Zoning meeting on September 3rd, 2025. For example, what percentage of residents want a pickleball court? What noise studies were done? What environmental studies were done? How will these courts affect traffic patterns? Safety studies? Parks and Recreation personnel are placing the 4 courts in an unsuitable location without any pertinent studies. This is irresponsible and could lead to lawsuits and closures because of pickleball noise, as has occurred in numerous towns, including Boise, Idaho, Berwyn, Pennsylvania, and all courts in Denver, Colorado. The courts will lead to more traffic congestion and danger to pedestrians. I have seen many mothers with strollers, people with dogs, children with bikes, and elderly pedestrians narrowly missed by speeding cars. Although this is an infrastructure grant to be used at Millwoods Park, no sidewalks have been built for the safety of pedestrians. Instead, heat island effect causing pickleball courts are to be implemented without any input from the residents. Furthermore, they will be felling too mature trees that could help with the court heat island effect. Felling too mature trees and then stating that they will replace them with saplings is counterproductive, since it takes years for mature trees to cleanse the environment and provide environmental enrichment. The sidewalk can be placed on the other side near the permanently closed concession building. The infrastructure grant should be used to ensure the safety and enrichment of the residents. Sidewalks, more benches, another pavilion and gazebos, and increasing tree supervisor Brian Kenny's budget so that he can maintain the mature trees at Millwoods properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Further public comment? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Laura Mullally, 46 Sunset Boulevard. I think I'm going to beat that safety drum a little further. At the last meeting, the Zone Zero program was mentioned, and as a way of making Wethersfield safer for the citizens. And town manager addressed Councilwoman Carbone's questions that Wethersfield is a leader in this program. That is not really clearly defined yet, but you're working on it. And that you plan to go and seek out West Hartford, who's a leader in this program. What's good for West Hartford is not necessarily good for Wethersfield. I've seen some of the things they've done over there, and I don't know that they're worth repeating over here. Just a thought. Some of our sidewalks in Wethersfield are in really bad shape, and not just the ones in Old Wethersfield that get tapped for repair. This is an area that we as a town could do better in. As a cycling enthusiast, as a former avid cyclist and competitor, I've coached my own kids, I've coached many children and women in being a safe cyclist in town and beyond. I believe safety is a priority, and I think it's a great sport, cycling. It's a great way to pursue wellness and longevity, and it is a competitive sport, although that many people around here participate in it. But despite being hit while cycling, I still consider cycling one of the greatest activities. Although I can't enjoy it the way I used to, I do consider cycling always with the thought, and I have perpetuated this with anyone I have coached, taught, rode with, that we are to ride in cooperation with vehicles and to ride predictably. And I think that's a good motto for people who drive cars, because people who ride bikes are also people who drive cars. And being more predictable in how we behave is a way to create a more safe environment for Wethersfield to consider as a whole. We really do seem to be losing the idea of getting along and going along. We're so busy sometimes pursuing our own agendas, we forget to look for the rest of our citizens that are around us. And And I think that, we're pursuing wellness and cycling and walking and running, etc. outside is a way that people are pursuing wellness and longevity, and we need to be in cooperation with one another. We need to raise the awareness of how we can do this better. It's almost like we have to have like these public safety announcements. Here's how you drive through Old Weathersfield during the Scarecrow show. Here's how you keep your eyes out for pedestrians who are crossing and cyclists who are riding. All in it's like a community effort. Let's be safe and let's care about one another's. Believe me, I know there's a lot of cyclists out there who are idiots on the bike, and I've schooled quite a few of various ages in the etiquette of how to ride in a predictable concept to not be a threat to the people driving cars or to the pedestrians out on the streets. I think that Weathersfield can pursue excellence in this area. I've not personally met Kevin Sullivan, who is part of the Bike Weathersfield. I did communicate with him when I was leading a women's ride in Weathersfield a few years ago. But I think Weathersfield can definitely build on the concept of community, which I believe we talk about all the time, as being in community with one another. And on that note, I'd like to know if I could pass along to you, Mr. Mayor, an article, a photocopy of an article. My youngest son is serving in the U.S. Navy on the aircraft carrier, the USS Ronald Reagan. Of course, I'm very proud of him. He was recently featured in this article for the USS Ronald Reagan, describing how he started his cycling career here in Weathersfield. So we are heard of way over on the Northwest right now. He had a successful career in competition, and he continues to pursue cycling as a way to build his character and serve his country. So I think that Weathersfield can continue to grow the community of getting along, going along, and caring for one another as we are outdoors participating in this wonderful nature we live in. May I pass this article along to you?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Thank you to
evening.
your son for his service. Thank you. Further public comment? Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Young.
Good evening, Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. The first thing I'd like to talk about tonight is on September 25th, 2025, a Thursday evening, I attended the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. That was downstairs in room number 3, and sitting down there with people to my back, talking in little more than whisper, was very difficult to understand what was even going on. They should have been just like you, here, sitting and looking at the subjects out in the audience. That's where they belonged. They belonged in this room. This is the only room in the entire town, I believe, that is equipped to put the people up at the dais in the right position. The public is out in the right position. There's microphones working. It sends all the messages out so people can hear. Whereas using that room downstairs, it's totally the other way. It doesn't help anybody sitting in there trying to listen to what's being said. And in my case, I heard nothing. I saw lips moving. Yeah, I could hear some things, but I couldn't make out what they were saying within the whole hour and a half meeting. So I walked away pretty damn disappointed. And the same thing with your school advisory committee. They had the same setup downstairs. They should be right up here. They should make their appointments for their meetings so they're here, where it can be recorded, where people can listen after hours to what transpired. So it's a big issue, ladies and gentlemen. You've had this talk from me before, and you ended up getting a better sound system. But you didn't do anything with downstairs. Next. I attended the meeting at the Senior Center on September 10th, 2025, to listen to the mayor talk about the upcoming referendum. When I got there, and the mayor and somebody started talking, I was introduced to Sally Keating, Mindy Gold, Jan Roberts from the BOE, and that was it, plus the mayor. And of course, then the mayor said, he immediately mentioned that his comments are based on his own personal opinions and does not represent the town's views or the town council or the Board of Education. But I got the message in this room from the dais that the mayor was going to be there. He wasn't going to he didn't say from the dais that he was going to come to that meeting and not represent the town. And this was a mistake on his part. You should have represented the town because you were there, and you never said from the dais, this is going to be a Democrat party. And that's what it was. It was a Democrat Party meeting. You went there and excluded yourself from your official position. I was hoping to hear some new things. I heard nothing, and I heard very little. And you, Mayor, you kept pawning off questions to your associates, Sally Keating and Mindy Gold, who were not experts on anything. And you passed the buck. You didn't stand up like a man and address people as mayor. And that's what you should have done. Shame on you. And I don't know, with the results of the referendum, we are looking at some very difficult times ahead. I know it's only 8 seconds, but we're looking at some very difficult times ahead for the citizens of Wethersfield and Connecticut.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Your time is up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll somehow get the message out to you.
Thank you. Further public comment. Anyone else from the public wish to speak tonight? Mr. Woodward.
Bob Woodward, 456 Middletown Avenue. A few years ago, Sue and I had a lawn mowing person. And at the beginning of each season, he would send us a note saying, this is what it's going up for the next season, because I have expenses and I have to pass them along. After a couple of years of that, I called him and said, thank you, we can't afford, we have nowhere to pass the increase on to. We have in this town significant increases staring us in the face. The revaluation will be phased in to be followed by another revaluation. The tax increase for the school referendum will be followed by another vote for a school referendum. Many of us have nowhere many of us are at the bottom of the pile. We have nowhere to pass the increase on to. We can't charge for our services like our lawn mowing person. Many of us are retired or we're working and we take what we get and we make do. It's going to be tough out there for a lot of people in this town because we have no place to pass an increase on to. Someone I know in town came out of a dentist office, said she's retired, said, I thought I was going to have to go back to work because I couldn't afford. A lot of people don't have dental insurance, especially if they're retired. I was sent an email from a social media post from a 20-something-year-old saying this referendum and the taxes that it will result in, meaning that I will no longer be able to live in Wethersfield, he said. And that may be true. What I want to urge you to do is, and I will say this again when we get whoever's coming in after the election, lower next year's budget. You're not going to like that. People like to spend money. Money has to be spent. Lower next year's budget. Many of us out there need our taxes just to be kept stable with all of this going on. Utilities, food prices, medical costs are also up, and some of you may be aware of that. Lower next year's budget and bring in more commercial to take the burden off the residential taxpayer. Otherwise, you're going to have a widely split town. And it's not going to be fun living here and paying the taxes. You're here for all of us. Between now and next April's budget hearing, ponder. Lower the budget, bring in more commercial taxes, and help make this town a balanced town for everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Woodward. Thank you, Bob. Further public comment tonight? Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Tim Garcia, Sherburne Road, Wethersfield. I was surprised to see that our town official, I wasn't surprised to see town officials coming to the senior center to make an informational presentation about the referendum last month. But I was surprised to see the town officials working side by side, hand in glove with the partisan pro-referendum group, Vote Yes group. I felt that our town officials should be impartial. They should be strictly informational. Instead, they were actively campaigning, well into what I thought was a 30-day silent period. Maybe I don't fully understand the rules, but I was expecting more impartiality. So that was disappointing to me to see that instead of information, we got just advocacy, partisan advocacy on that regard when it's time for us to make a decision. And I also was surprised how the referendum was supported by Republicans too. I didn't hear them say anything about it before the vote, but after the vote, apparently they came out saying, yes, it's a good thing that it passed. Well, I'd like to see them make more of a stand beforehand, one way or the other. That's all I have.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Tim. Further public comment? Anyone? Seeing none, we will move on our agenda to council reports. Does any councilor have a report this evening? Councilor Carbone.
Thank you. I actually have a few notes from the Social Youth and Senior Services, as well as the Park and Rec board, but to start with the Social Services Department, they've started taking applications for Thanksgiving and holiday gift programs. So if any residents or families are in need, please reach out to our department. The Charles and Old Wethersfield will be collecting donations for turkeys, and they will be posting some information out into the community. Our department is also collecting for both Thanksgiving and holiday gifts. There is an application that needs to be filled out. This is also on our website. The gifts are for children 18 and under and or still in high school. So those need to be in for Thanksgiving by November 7th and Christmas by December 8th. So please, if you know anybody that needs help, maybe get that for them or direct them to our website. Also, I've talked in years past, before summer, before winter, about the Energy Assistance Program. They are starting to take appointments for the Energy Assistance. Call them, call the department in town, make an appointment. It's confidential and private. You'll work with a social worker, and they'll get you through the process. And as always, the food bank is collecting food now more than ever. It's really needed. So if you're in the position to donate, we would really appreciate it. So the Housing Authority block party was rained out. The new rain date is Tuesday, October 14th from 4:30 to 6:30. It's at 60 Lancaster. There's free food, there's games, and music. So if you want to pop by and join the activities, that would be great. We also are establishing Weathersfield as a recovery-friendly community. That's on the consent agenda tonight. So Carissa, I'm going to murder her last name, Peckrell is, did I get it? Yes, thank you. She is our prevention coordinator in town, and she is amazing. She's passionate and fired up about, getting involved with our youth and preventing, helping prevent suicide and drug abuse and tobacco use, vaping, that kind of stuff. And she's really involved in the community, so that she will be the recovery champion. And I think that's great. So kudos to her. And also in the spirit of that, I wanted to mention, I had reached out to the police department a while ago about trying to figure out how we could do some more take-back dates. And of course, there's reasons why, I've talked to you guys about why we can't have more of those dates. But there will be a National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 25th from 10 to 2 p.m. That's at the Weathersfield Police Department. So any old medications you have lying around the house, anything expired, anything, we tell you not to flush it down the toilet. I think if you have grandchildren, if you have children in the house that have access to these prescription medications, it can be dangerous, and it's also viewed as a gateway. So put them all in a Ziploc bag and bring them down to the police department. They'll take them. Okay, enough of that department. The next department is the Weathersfield Park and Recs. So they wanted me to convey a few things to y'all. The Millwoods bocce courts were completed. They were reconstructed and lit. If you want to go there, just don't go Thursday nights. There's the league, unless you want to go watch. But apparently, Rachel told me there's a switch. You turn it on, and it automatically goes off by itself at 10 o'clock. So if you want to get out there in the evening, I don't know if there's a big call for that, but who doesn't like a little bocce? The Millwoods Classic Field, which is the Little League baseball field, will be completed in about a week. That was redone. These are all through the Urban Act grant, by the way. Also in the Weston Rose Garden, that's on the side of this building, all the hardscape has been completed, but the actual plants, roses, arbors, that kind of stuff won't be completed until mid-November. Speaking about pickleball courts at Millwoods, the next public hearing at planning and zoning public hearing is tomorrow. So we have been getting a lot of emails in favor of the pickleball courts. So it's nice, we want to hear the entire community, whether you're opposed to it or for it, but if you're for it, please pop down and say what you feel. It's important. Public input is very important. Let's see, the harbor master and the deputy harbor master have been reappointed for another 3 years. And last but not least, I want to mention the summer camps. This past summer were a big success, but moving forward next year, we had to turn some people away. I think we're going to need to expand our program. It is self-supporting, so no money really has to be budgeted for that, which is great, but we will have to look into some areas because we have a lot of kids that need those summer programs. So I know that was a lot, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. I appreciate the thoroughness of your report. Further council reports. Councilor Dirk.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended 2 different meetings in the past 2 weeks. The first one is the EDIC, which is the Economic Development Commission. This is a group of very dedicated and capable individuals who are doing a lot of great work for our community, along with the redevelopment group, along with the Chamber of Commerce, Old Weathersfield shopkeepers. I want to thank them for all the work that they do. If you drive down Silas Dean, you can see a lot of new businesses, and that's part of a large group of people doing everything they can to bring a lot of businesses in. The EDIC has a Salute to Business event this coming Wednesday at the Riverfront Restaurant, starting at 5:30 p.m. I think they still have tickets available, so anybody who wants to come in and support the local businesses, they're going to recognize some of the best businesses in town. The second one is the WEC, which is the Weathersfield Early Childhood Weathersfield Early Childhood Group. This is a very passionate group of people. They work with, well, their mission statement says that their goal is to ensure that all Weathersfield children birth to 8 are healthy, ready for school, and connected to the community. They have not received tons of our support over the past few years because we had tight budget. We did what we can, but I'm happy to report and to thank our State Senator John Fonfair for providing pretty substantial funding for WEC for the next 2 years. This will give them a chance to do a lot of the things that they want to do, a lot of things they couldn't do before. And one of the things they said at the meeting, going from, are we going to have enough funds to buy crayons, to a lot of money in their view to do a lot of different programs. I think it's going to be good and it's going to be helpful for the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dirk. Further council reports? Seeing none, we'll move on our agenda to council comments. Does any Councilor Bailey?
I have a couple questions either for you or the manager. With WEMSA, the Weathersfield EMS Association, being eliminated, or excluded, I should say, the football games, I'll use varsity as a prime example. Are we entered in agreement with Aetna on how much they're to charge?
Aetna's providing coverage of those games for no charge.
Free of charge?
Yes.
All right.
They're working directly with the athletic director over at the high school, but they've coordinated all that.
All right. I'm going to look into that further because only the rumor out there is there's a cost to it. It's about $900 a game.
Okay. That's not, my understanding was they were going to do that. There are certain things beyond certain events they will have to charge for, but if they're what they consider community events, and the football game was one of them,
okay,
they would not be charging.
All right, so we have an agreement with them on that.
Well, they would do that directly with the school, so I'll have to see what they did with the school department.
Okay.
The athletic director.
And second part, which is probably more than the expense, is I'm hearing that the Board of Ed, and I have not met with the Board of Ed yet, that they're not having an ambulance, and I'm just using football as an example. I don't know if they were at the soccer games or at all the sports, but they're not providing it for JV and freshman football because of the cost.
Again, I can't speak for the school department. We put them in contact with everyone over at Aetna. They were going to have a meeting and tell them what their needs were, and Aetna was going to work with them to arrange whatever they needed. So I don't know. That's outside of my purview, but I can certainly ask them to provide a report back to us about what their needs are. But Aetna is fully capable and fully willing to, work with them and provide coverage for any of their requirements. I know their only requirement is for varsity football. Mm-hmm. That's a state requirement. And if anything were to happen at any game, they always have units posted in town, and they could be there in moment's notice. But if they need to be positioned there, they will pull in the resources to do that.
All right. And I'm just so everybody knows, they're always at every game. Football, I'll say.
For varsity?
Yeah, well, yes. Varsity, JV, and freshman. And I'm not...
Again, I'm not part of that, so I don't know what the require. All I know is that only at varsity is it required by the state that an ambulance be posted. I don't know what arrangements they made, because that's within their purview. But I can check and find out for you.
Just to confirm, WEMSA did that offer free?
I don't know what WEMSA, again, that was something they coordinated with the school, so I don't know specifically what they did and when they posted and when they didn't. I really have no knowledge of that. I know they did it for the varsity because that's a requirement.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bailey. Further council comments? Councilor Carbone.
Thank you. I just wanted to respond to Mr. Young's comment about the basement meetings. Yes, they can be a little uncomfortable, and I will definitely pass that along. I know scheduling can kind of be an issue too. Those meetings aren't really heavily, unless there's really something going on in town, they're not really heavily, what's the word I'm looking for? Attended? Thank you. They're not heavily attended. And I know in meetings past, so Mr. Young, when you come to the next meeting, I think there's probably room at the table for you that you can sit right up on there, and hopefully I'll be at that next one as well. So that's all.
All set?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Further council comments? Councilor Dirk.
Thank you, Mayor. I feel like speaking tonight, huh?
Good.
Yeah.
So the first one is a question for town manager. I wanted to ask it publicly because I came across a few residents who asked me this question. Maybe there might be more out there who are wondering the same thing. So when it comes to school referendum bonding, some residents are questioning, are they going to have a kind of like a first choice to buy those bonds before they're being sold out to public? Because some of them see this as maybe a way to pay the difference in taxes that they're experiencing. So some residents do have some money set aside, and they can buy bonding, make some money on it. They can pay off for the difference in the tax increase that they receive.
I don't know the answer to that, as I haven't heard that one before. So I'd be happy to check in with our financial advisors and see if that's a possibility and how that might work. But I know that they basically go out to the market and it's based upon price. But we can certainly ask that question. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. And I just want to mention one more thing. This obviously doesn't apply to everyone, but we do have a property tax credit for senior citizens, for those who qualify. I think it's a decent amount of credit that they can receive. We also worked on expanding that credit and increasing the credit itself. The election is soon. I don't know if I'll be here after November, but whether I'm here or not, I think that should be looked into. Those people who are in need, they should be, if there is a way to do it, they should be able to get a larger credit to help those who are most in need. So it's definitely something that I will be passionate to look into if I'm back here after the November, but if I'm not, I urge anybody who continues to serve on town council to keep looking into expanding the property tax credit for the seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Derrick. Further council comments? And I have a few, but I want to see if anybody, Councilor Zambrello?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to just say a few words because this is my last council meeting. For those of you who don't already know, I've decided not to run for re-election, and I won't be at our next meeting, which is really the last meeting for this body, because I'm getting married in 12 days. So that's my next project. This experience on town council has been challenging at times. Some things that seemed like they should be simple weren't. There were surprises, not all of them good. There was a time last summer when I was questioning every decision that led me to run for office. But we learned how to adapt and make the best of difficult situations. We learned when to keep pushing and when to let things go in favor of the bigger picture. We watched people who had never been involved in town politics get involved because they learned through our experiences that you have to keep working for everything, even those things that once seemed simple. Thank you to every one of you who showed me that working hard for the things you believe in is always worth it. And thank you to my loved ones for supporting me on the best days and the worst days. So the difficult times don't define this experience for me. What defines it is the growth I've seen in myself, in our council, and in our community. Most of us up here were brand new 2 years ago, and there was an awful lot to learn. But we never stopped trying to improve our town, and we figured out a lot along the way. I got to learn from so many incredible people, including those in town, in our state, and even elected women across the country. And I'm not going to list up everyone because we'd be here all night, but know that I'm deeply grateful for all of you, especially those of you up here on either side of me. I'm so fortunate that Ken is our mayor and that you are all the people who I got to serve with. I think the length of time spent in office is much less important than what you do with that time. This is the first council meeting since our successful school referendum, and that was the project I took leadership of on the council side. When we ran 2 years ago, that is the biggest thing we wanted to accomplish, and I knew I could contribute. It was a perfect opportunity to combine my passion for education and experience in state government with my elected position here to help accomplish something transformative for this town that will have a positive impact for generations. There are quite a few people who we couldn't have done it without, and again, I won't list them all, but this was a community effort from our state legislators to every voter. I'm proud of my work on that, our work on that, and I'm even prouder that the community came together and then I got to meet so many wonderful people who recognized what an incredible opportunity this was for us to invest in our future and use their skills to help however they could. It made me love this town even more, and it made me hopeful for our future. That sense of hope also comes from the candidates running for Council and Board of Ed for the first time this year. They are exactly the people we need in this moment to continue the positive track Wethersfield is on, including the elementary school project, which is only at the beginning and will continue needing strong leadership. I'm confident that I leave this council in good hands. I also want to say thank you to Fred, Sue, and all the town staff. I know there's quite a few here today. It can't be easy for you to orient newbies every 2 years, and you all did an incredible job of helping us understand our role and yours. Overall, this experience has been a rewarding one, and I'll miss working with all of you, though I'll still be involved in different ways. Best of luck in the upcoming election to those of you running for re-election and to the new candidates. I look forward to seeing what you all do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambrello. I have something to say about that when it's my turn, but did you have your hand up? You did. Deputy Mayor Forrest, please.
At any time when we have anybody that volunteers as much as all of us do up here, I want to say thank you, Emily. I congratulate you as a fellow member of Somerset Street on your upcoming wedding. You and Chris make a lovely couple. I love your house, driving by and seeing all the improvements. It's fantastic. It's undeniable that you are a leader and are a leader on this council, and especially when it comes to education and our school referendum. The amount of work that you put in, the explanation of all of the complex issues that involve that particular project were invaluable to this board, invaluable to the public, and not easy. And it takes a lot of hard work, and I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for the dedication that you put to Wethersfield. And of course, we do it for the love of our town. And so thank you so much. I'm proud to call you my friend. I'm proud to sit next to you during these last 2 years. And I look forward to seeing you walk around our street and continue to be involved. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Forrest. Very nice. Anyone else, council comments? So I have quite a few, bear with me, but let me start with Councilor Zambrello. It takes a lot to sit up here. We're grateful for the opportunity that the residents give us, and every single one up here has volunteered their time. Emily, you've done an amazing job. You've worked so hard. You've been a leader up here. The town is grateful. We're grateful, and particularly on the school project. You spent countless hours working on that. You helped our community, and we all appreciate how hard you worked. I hope you stay involved. And most importantly, congratulations on your wedding. Maybe we can give a little clap for a wedding. Yeah, congratulations on getting married. Thank you for being here. It takes a lot to serve up here. Appreciate everybody, but this is your last meeting. Thank you so much for all you've done. Let me mention some other things, events that have happened, events that are coming up, and then a comment or two on something else. I wanted to first mention the Wethersfield Unico Bocce Tournament. I attended it. Officer Knapp played, and he's a former champion. I don't think they won this year. His wife also had a team. I don't think they won, but I think they both made quarter and semifinals, if I remember that. And I got to watch and hopefully get to play. So thank you, and thank you to Unico for doing that. I'll mention the Fire Department Awards this past Saturday night. Councilor Bailey, I want to say Chief Bailey as well. I was there too, and it was a really wonderful event. And it is every year as we recognize firefighters, and I believe you'll help me with this. One of our firefighters was recognized for 60 years.
John Babel.
John Babel, 60 years with the fire department. So that deserves a round of applause. And that's quite a record, and we honored many others who had long service records as well. I'll mention the Scarecrows. This is one of the signature events for Wethersfield through the month of October. We had over 40,000 visitors last year. We have 130 different scarecrows. They're wonderful. It's a great town event. But I want to take this opportunity while I mention it. We all need to be safer. We need to drive safer. We need to think about, we have some things that the council have done in terms of red light and speed cameras that are going to be implemented before year end, Vision Zero, that we've talked about a little bit of our goals of zero fatalities and being a leader in that. But enjoy the scarecrows, as we all do, but please, please drive and act safely. Moving on, we had the car show. This was the Bobby Garton Memorial Car Show on September 27th. Second year we've done it. It was a wonderful event, well attended, and I think a lot of people liked that event. Coming up, I'll mention, it was already mentioned by Councilor Dirk, but the Salute to Business is this Wednesday night, 2 nights from now. We're honoring a lot of businesses. We're also honoring a lot of organizations with longevity awards. We're honoring the police department for 100 years, the Wethersfield Police Department. We're honoring the Wethersfield Chamber of Commerce for 60 years. we're honoring the Weathersfield shopkeepers for 50 years, and we're honoring Flags Over Weathersfield, the Boy Scout group, 70 years in Weathersfield. So we're going to be thanking and congratulating those folks on Wednesday night. I'm just checking if I have anything else before I make a general comment or two. I think, I'm sure the town manager, if I forget one, will remind me or remind us. Yeah, I just want to make a comment because it was talked about the event that I attended on September 10th at the community center. I did not make a statement from this dais that I was going to go there in an official capacity as mayor, and I checked about what I was allowed to do, and what I was allowed to do was to go there and say, before I make any remarks, that I am going as an individual, and these are my personal feelings, my personal remarks, not my remarks as mayor. Most of the people in that audience, it was an opportunity to answer questions, to talk about how we feel about the project. I would say 99% of the folks in that audience had already decided how they were going to vote. It was some really good questions we got. It was an engaging conversation that night, but by no means was I acting in an official capacity. I know that was brought up tonight. And I will now move on, if there's no further council comments, to the town manager's report. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you covered most of the things I would have covered, but the one thing I will add is that we talked about Vision Zero, but the Weathersfield did receive a Vision Zero Program Distinction Award from the State Department of Transportation, and that was for a program that the town partnered with the schools on, and it was to do bike training for elementary school kids at Hamner, and we're moving it on to other schools as well. This coming season. It's with our PAL group as well, and they were able to use PAL funding to purchase bikes and equipment, safety equipment, and train the students in, while they're at school as part of a school program. And so it's actually being looked at by the state as a model for other localities. So we did receive that award a few weeks ago. And so with that, I'll complete my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Moving along, Town Clerk's report. Sue?
I have nothing.
Thank you, Sue. That's the shortest report tonight, and we appreciate it. Moving on to bids, item 1, do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to allocate $475,000 from CNEF Pavement Maintenance Account for paving roads in the Goodrich Drive neighborhood, and authorize the town manager to execute a purchase order with Tilcon Connecticut Inc. for the same amount based on their bid unit prices for current Connecticut Department of Administrative Services contract.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion. Anyone? Or Mr. Town Manager, if you want to.
I was going to ask the town engineer, Derek Greger, to come up and just give an overview of this one. It's a lot of moving pieces, and I think he can do a much better job than I can explaining. And this is for item 1, I1 and I2.
Thank you. Derek?
Thank you. Yep, thank you. Derek Greger, town engineer. Yeah, this project kind of came up on us quickly. This is related to CNG and MDC projects. They've been replacing infrastructure out there the last few years. And part of that was their agreement was they were going to come and mill and overlay the roads in this neighborhood to restore them, which is our typical process. What we found out is they came in, they did the road milling, but the infrastructure in that area is very old. And it became a much more complicated project. We found that a lot of the existing curb was in very poor condition. Oftentimes when we go by with the large equipment, the milling machines, it causes damage. It created a lot of damage because of the infrastructure age. We started finding out that some of the curb was not on good base material. It was just sitting on dirt, so it was unstable. So to make a long story short, we talked with MDC and we worked with them, and we decided that it became too complicated of a project for them to handle because it's not what they normally do. They're utility engineers, not road engineers. And it was really, they were working with Tilcon anyway, who we work with on all our programs anyway. So it seemed to make sense that we kind of assumed responsibility for the project. We wanted to be sure we got the product that we needed in the end. There was additional road repairs that had to be done, a lot of extra work. So with that, we assumed responsibility of the project from them because we were working with them on it anyway. And as part of that, we have an agreement with them that's been executed since. I think there's a draft copy in your handouts. They are paying for the remainder of the work that was their responsibility. That equates to around $420,000. It's a large neighborhood. There's a lot of roads out there. It's a small area, but there are a lot of roads and infrastructure. So the request for the PO is to award that to Tilcon. We will pay the bills. We will submit that to MDC and CNG, and then they will reimburse us for it. We have done that on a few rare occasions on other projects that we've had that had similar type of situation. So that was that for that PO, and I believe the next item is for General Paving, who does assistance work for us, doing drainage and some of the road repair work that had to be done in preparation or after the paving is complete. So essentially, this kind of became another paving program for us. So we have two really going on at the same time. So we're very busy. And this kind of came up quickly, which is why it's already under construction, and I'm coming to you kind of later than I normally would for an approval. What this means is this comes out of our standard road fund. So whatever expenditures we had this fall that were beyond what we anticipated, we'll just make some adjustments for our future programs to scale them back for next year as needed.
Got it. Thank you, Derek. Any questions for Derek before we vote?
I have one.
Yeah, Councilor Bailey.
No, go ahead, Darrell. I'm sorry.
No, I'm recognizing you.
I
Councilor
just want to, out of the 475, if we approve that, 470 will be reimbursed?
How about 420?
All right. All right.
And some of that additional is because when they did the milling, we found we didn't have as much pavement as we should have had. We broke through to gravel in a lot of areas, so we're putting some additional pavement back to make sure we have a suitable road structure.
All set, Councilor?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Dirk.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Derek. It's a great opportunity to ask you a question on, I know we received some emails, there were some discussions about some curbs being replaced or not to get too deep into it, but I know there's an ordinance, when do we replace some of these curbs? I know it's been around for a while. Do you feel there's a need to maybe change the policy? Do we need to make any adjustments to it so we don't run into similar problems down the road when we do some of these roads?
Yeah, the concerns that came up were related to our bituminous, our asphalt curbing. When we do mill and overlay projects, our standard policy for long-standing policy has been we go through, we mill the road, we evaluate. There's always some damage that's done, and if it's limited, which it usually is, we'll replace those curbs where it's needed. This came up, I would say, around 2017, 2018. When I first got here, similar type of conversation we had with council at the time. We did go through an analysis showing the cost of replacing all the curbs when we do a mill and overlay versus keeping curbs. And generally, the decision was, and that's how we've been following it, if the curb's in decent structural condition and it serves its purpose, which is to keep stormwater flow in the gutter of the road and not be washing out properties, we leave it. So in some instances, there may be, instead of a full 6-inch full curb, you might see a little piece of a curb that's there that's only 2 or 3 inches tall. But if it's serving the purpose, the decision was, let's put the money towards paving more roads and not necessarily just replacing curbing anyway, because it does get expensive. I've actually ran the numbers recently because I was wondering, like in this neighborhood I'm talking about, we have probably almost 2 miles of curb that's going to have to be replaced. And the reason why we're doing it out there on a milling job is because we started evaluating. As we started going through the neighborhood, we realized there was so much of it that really needed to be replaced. We could save 20 feet here and 50 feet there, but honestly, at that point, let's just replace it. As the residents probably have said, we don't plan to go back into this neighborhood anytime soon, so we'll leave it in a good condition. But when, you've seen other roads in town where we do milling, we do usually leave them. It comes out fine. I mean, we've had other neighborhoods get upset about it at different times, but that's been the policy we followed. It has worked well for us, so that we continue to do that. I wouldn't recommend revisiting. I think that's been working for us. We do try to, it's a judgment call by staff, so they may be out there and make a decision that something should stay that maybe shouldn't. There's some instances we go out there and we try to do the best we can, but it's really a cost-saving measure, so we can put that money into getting more roads done. Because the decision was, if we decide we're going to just replace all curb every time we do just a milling and overlay project, then we're just going to do less roads because we're going to take some off the list.
Thank you.
Sure.
All set, Councilor Dirk? Yes, thank you. Further council questions? Councilor
No.
Carbone?
Go ahead. You might ask my questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Councilor Carbone.
Thank you.
I listen to him.
Yeah. I like things very concise, so forgive me for trying to Derek shaking his head, yeah, I know. So I just want to be, about the money thing. So the 475, 420 of that will be reimbursed to us. And out of the 375, that's the paving program that we would have been doing in the future. that now will be just moved up, the timeline's moved up essentially. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, this road, the neighborhood would need some kind of reconstruction anyway, so we're going to do it now while we're there.
Okay. And that's what you meant, where you just said, we're going to just,
Yeah, so it means we're
Shuffle the
spending
program.
more money out of our road paving funds than we anticipated this year. So that means next year we'll just scale back the programs as we need to compensate for that, so we don't overspend. So essentially, we're doing almost 3 paving programs this year. Normally, we only do 2.
okay. So these streets weren't on that paving program for next year?
No, we knew MDC and CNG were going to be doing this project. They got delayed, and when we got into the project, realized it was much more involved than we anticipated or they anticipated.
Okay, thank you. I'm
All
good.
set, Councilor
Yes,
Carbone. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Thank you, Mayor. My understanding is that we are putting some extra money into these sets of roads, which is almost an entire neighborhood. Because if we were to go through the sort of regular process, that road might degrade much faster than if we were to sort of do the full reconstruction or full underlay, I guess you might call it, plus the appropriate amount of actual asphalt to be put on there. Is that generally accurate, that we are doing more for these roads for the longevity of this particular project versus a more skimpier version?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, when we go into a neighborhood, we try to leave it in the right condition. This is the right way to do the repairs. It was unexpected. It's been a lot more work, but we'll have a much better product that'll last longer when we're done.
Got it. So having walked on all these roads, Reed, right, Goodwin, Stillman's there, right, all of it, it was obvious after looking at it, really like how much of the curbing was messed up. And that for this project, at least, I think that this absolutely makes sense. Like, let's do the roads appropriately so that we can get strong, whatever it is, 20 years, 30 years off of the road, instead of having to come back with more money 5, 7, 8 years from now, plus the rest of it. So the roads are in great shape. And it's not just like they're in great shape for 5 years. Like, this is a very, very strongly built road so that we can then move to the other areas of town. Also, just as a note, so the residents are acutely aware, and just as a note for this council, if you haven't sort of been in the neighborhood talking to people, they have had MDC, and I think gas came through too, right? So this is like 3 years of these roads being messed up. And so they are thrilled to see when the Miller comes through finally 2 years later. They're like, this is great. Or 3 years. Actually, they corrected me. I said 2. They're like, no, it's been like more than 2. So you can certainly understand where, at least when we're sort of making a policy decision, let's build a great road so we don't have to come back with more maintenance dollars later in the near term. And also for this particular community, if there is one that has suffered through all of these projects for an extended period of time, this would sort of be the appropriate one to give them an appropriate road. So I'm supportive of this project.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Further council comments or questions?
That actually brought up another question for
Councilor
me. I'm
Carbone.
sorry. Thank you so much. You said, we won't have to touch these streets for 20 years until, right, MDC comes back and says, we got to cut it for another project. So we've seen that happen in time over and over, and I don't mean to get off, but you're here and I'm going to ask this for everybody. We've seen many times in our communities, you have a beautiful road, it gets cut up for whatever reason, they do their work, and then they leave it, and it's horrible. And they have dents and divots, and, the cones go up for weeks and weeks until finally we go in and repave it. Is there anything you can do in our program that would encourage them to leave it as they found it instead of having us come in, or is that's not
I mean,
happening?
we meet with the utility companies regularly, usually twice a year, to talk about our projects that we have planned and their projects that they have planned, so we can try and avoid that from happening. Sometimes they are doing projects that we were planning to do anyway, and then we will hold off our project and then come in afterwards. Other times they're doing work where we were not planning to do work, and in those cases, this happens to be one of those neighborhoods, it wasn't on our list, then they'll come in and restore. We do try and avoid cutting up new pavement. I mean, it's utilities and it's underground. It's hard to avoid. Sometimes they do have to come in and there's a leak in a gas line. Limited repairs. Generally, our process has been, if a road's been paved within the last 5 years, instead of them just cutting it, doing their work, and then putting a patch back, they have to do mill and overlay restoration for that portion that's been disturbed. So we do have a higher standard on roads that have been paved more recently. roads that are older than that, then we do allow them to do just a traditional trench repair. As far as the amount of time that it's out like that, I mean, we are out there, we do work with them, and we do move things along as quickly as we can, but it's construction, and there's a lot of different players. Even on this neighborhood out here, we've had like 4 different contractors out there doing concrete curb, concrete sidewalks in some areas, aprons. So it, you know, I know for this particular neighborhood, it's been much longer than they anticipated, and part of it's because sometimes we get into situations we don't expect, and that would be unsuitable materials under the road surface and things like that that take time to
Yeah, but
repair.
you're fixing that. My question is,
Yep.
how do we get them to leave it as they found it instead of having us have to do that?
I mean, they do repair
Money-wise.
curb as they need to. We've been working with them because generally on most roads, if it's in good condition, they'll trench up it, they'll do their mill, they'll put in an overlay, 95% of the curb stays and most of the aprons stay, and we don't really have to do too much. So we kind of work with them. You know, I can't really say to them, hey, you guys were working out in this neighborhood, you got to replace all the curb, not just where you damaged it.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
you're
do
not-
kind of, it's a give and take. I mean, we do work with them. I think that's a reasonable request because it's kind of beyond what they normally would do. And to be honest with you, this restoration method is a change in the last couple of years. We've worked with them and said, listen, not to get too complicated, but what they used to do is just do a trench repair. They let it settle for a number of months, then they'll come back and they'll cut it and do a more permanent trench repair. But the rest of the road doesn't get touched. So what we've been talking with them about lately, they've been doing is initially they just put a thick pavement section in. They let it settle because it needs some time to settle, and then they come and do this mill and overlay restoration, which to us is a much better product at the end. The entire road is black, it's all repaved, it helps the areas that they didn't even impact, and I think they found it to be more cost effective for them, and I think we get a better product out of it. So there's a lot of give and take. I mean, we certainly do require them to repair what they damage. It's just what's beyond that we feel it makes sense for us to also do, then we work with them. And sometimes that means they may be milling 3/4 of the road and we may decide, hey, there's another quarter, you didn't touch it, but while we're there, let's just do it all. We'll put some money into the project and work with them on it. So it really is a team effort with the utility companies to get this
Thank you, Derek. All set, Councilor Garland? Okay. Any other comments or questions before we vote? Anybody? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is I-2. Do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to allocate $375,000 from the CNEF Pavement Maintenance Account for work related to paving roads in the Goodrich Drive neighborhood and to authorize the town manager to execute a purchase order with General Paving Incorporated for the same amount using their current on-call construction services contract.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Clancy. Discussion on the motion. Anyone? Councilor Bailey.
Derek, you don't have to come up. Just to clarify for the public, that's for drainage and things that they would be doing anyway to make this project work. Don't build a road on a bad foundation type of thing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bailey. Further council questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes. We will now move on to J, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
But you have 3.
Oh, did I miss one?
If you don't want to build the schools you just built.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm looking at the wrong agenda. Do I have item I3? Sorry, I'm looking at my old one. Mr. Deputy Mayor, my apologies.
Thank you. I move to award a contract to TSKP for an amount not to exceed $57,225 to produce a site survey, geotechnical investigation of the site and wetlands delineation of the proposed new Highcrest School site on Keisha property, and to authorize the town manager to execute all related documents.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to give that to Councilor Zambrella. I heard her first. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we added this item to the agenda as we've been working to prepare, with the passing of the bond referendum, we've been working to prepare the RFP for several things. We're going to have an owner's rep that we're going to be hiring. We're going to be hiring architects and design engineers, and then we're going to be hiring essentially a contractor for this work. And in preparation of this and reaching out to some of the other towns, it was made clear that, particularly for the design piece of that if we do the geotechnical investigation, site survey work now, it's probably going to save us about 2 to 3 months on the back end. because the architect and engineers need this information to do their design. So they'd have to wait and do this work, and with winter coming, we'd probably be able to save like 2 to 3 months. And based upon the estimates that were done by TSKP and Downs for the pricing for the bond referendum, every month in terms of escalation costs equates to about $200,000. So we have the potential by doing this now to save several $100,000. We thought it was prudent to bring it to you all. We do have an existing contract with TSKP, and that allows us to, and some of this work is within the scope of that. We just need to add an addendum to that contract, and we can move forward with this as professional services, so it falls within all procurement regulations. And again, because of the timing, if we were to go out to full RFP for something like this now, it would be at least another month or 2 months before we'd have anybody on board, and we'd be into the winter season, and a lot of this work would not be able to get done. So we feel it's prudent to move forward with this as soon as possible, just to buy us that extra time, if you will, and save us the money on the back end of this. So we're asking for your consideration. Sally Katz is here to answer any questions you might have as well.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Any comments or questions from councilors? Councilor Carbone.
Don't cringe. I tried to get the information prior. The money isn't listed where it's being pulled from?
So essentially, any money we spend on this would be part of the bond. So we basically would be just like we would, we're not going to initially go out to bond until we start spending real money, if you will. So the town will front the money to a certain point, and then when we get to a certain point where that's no longer feasible, then we'll go out to bond. And at that point, we'll reimburse ourselves for anything spent with the bond money. So it's not additional money. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. So this is all reimbursable.
Councilor Carbone.
Well, I was going to go back to, so where is it coming from now?
It's coming from the general fund.
Perfect. And so it'll all go back in there?
Correct.
Once we start bonding. And I think that is a great segue into question, because I know everybody, there's a lot of people who are nervous about this bonding issue, and you just kind of touched on it. So when we start spending real money and we have to go out to bond, when do you anticipate that will be?
Likely it's going to be late into 26 or early into 27 before we have to actually bond it, because it's when you really get into, and we're not going to bond everything at once. It's not going to be $88 million. We're going to bond what we need to do the first phase of the project, then we'll do it again, and that way it limits the exposure, limits the amount of interest we're paying by only borrowing as we need it. And plus, we don't want to borrow money and sit and hold it either. And that's not a good move. So
the part two of that question is, when we start bonding in late 26, early 27, when do we start paying on that bond?
It'll be sometime after that. We're probably looking at late 27, 28 before we see any kind of payments. And initially they'll be very low, and then it'll kind of ramp up as we go. So, but I know that Mike O'Neill had done an estimated schedule based upon just what we think might happen. Once we get an architect and engineer on board, they design it out, we get our contractor on board, we'll get some really good numbers and timing for all of that. But for right now, we're just doing our best guess.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Further council questions or comments? If not, we will call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes. I think we're on to the consent agenda now. Item J, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Rhodes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes. We're now on K1. This is the tax incentive program. Do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve R25-014. It's a tax incentive for the 341 Jordan Development LLC project located at 341 Jordan Lane, as per the recommendation of the Tax Incentive Program Committee and contingent upon the finalization of a tax incentive agreement, effectuating the terms set forth in the attached Schedule A, being developed by the town attorney and town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Durek. Do I have discussion on the motion? Councilor Carbone.
Hi. Joe, may I ask you a couple questions really quick? I'm sorry, these had come up, but I can't ask questions?
You can.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, it's just about the numbers. It's, we're talking about numbers, right? Lots of money floating around, and there were some questions from the public regarding the tax abatement and how much money we will be putting out was a comment to help you with this tax abatement, which I think is a little bit wrong, right? So I just wanted to ask you timeframes. So year one, if you can just, because I'm looking at your Schedule A, just to be clear, I had assumed it was $26,000 that you'll be paying year one, because that's the property taxes now. Is that correct? Because according to your schedule, it'll be 16,000?
Current taxes are approximately $26,000.
Okay.
Do you want me to go through the timeline?
No, I just feel like I'm looking at this wrong, so I just wanted to double check that number. So according to your schedule, it says year one, 10% of the building, the taxes are $16,962
That's for the building only.
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 So that would be in addition to the 26.
That's in addition to the 26.
Okay.
That's the additional value added by that first building.
So I think what's making some people nervous, and so I just want to get information out there, is we're not losing any tax. We're not, nothing's coming out of pocket.
Right.
It'll be what we're having now is if you didn't come in, we'd still be getting $26,000 for that property. But every year we'll be getting additional taxes based on the project as it's going along.
Yeah, I think the confusion is that there's a rebate, like you're actually going to cut me a check. I think that might be part of it. That's not what's going on here, is you're just giving me an incentive to do the project. So as we start each phase, and then it's phases out, and probably within 7 to 8 years, your taxes are going to be, if you look at the schedule, much higher than the $26,000 because
Exactly.
we're going to be going 10, 20, 25, I think it's 40, 50, and 60.
Yes.
And then as phase 2 comes in, phase 1 phases out, and we're paying the full amount for the first phase,
But
and then the
wasn't
second phase.
Phase 2, doesn't that start somewhere already during the 8 years of phase 1?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So you
So that
anticipate,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
so you're anticipating year 3 maybe, that phase 2 will kick in?
Yeah, so let's just say we get all our approvals, we don't have them yet, we start in 2026, 12 to 18 months to construct phase 1. We have to stabilize the project. This is for financing. Go to stabilization. Once the income's stabilized, we start phase 2. So let's say it's 2.5 to 3 years max.
Okay.
Phase 2 starts. Phase 1 taxes are running. We're building phase 2. We're under construction.
Phase 2's
And then
taxes
phase
start.
3, within 24 to 36 months of that, should be well underway. Is that what you're...
Yes,
Okay.
so I think what people aren't getting is that you're going to start phase 1, so we'll be getting, so by year 3, we'll be getting 42,000 essentially, I'm just going to round.
Well, that's on top of the
$42,000.
base.
Yes.
It's in addition
On
to
top
the
of the
26,
26,
yes.
and then phase 1 of the second phase, year 1 of the second phase will kick in around the same time, so we'll be getting 31,000 in addition to that, correct?
I'd have to go back.
Sorry.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
okay. I'm just
Sorry,
trying
you're kind of
and-
catching
Because
me.
it's very hard, I'm a very visual person, and when you look at this, I'm sure there's a lot of people seeing this going, oh, we're starting off here, and then we'll get, and then backtracking, but I want people to realize that.
Yeah, and this doesn't include the personal property tax they'll be paying on some of the equipment that they'll have and, the common areas. It also doesn't include all the vehicle tax.
Yes, and the building
a building
permits
is
and everything.
permit
coming.
fees.
building
About
permit
$500,000.
fees.
So, for
Yes.
example, anything we have in there in the fitness center or on site, the personal property tax will be at
yeah.
100%.
And that's in phase 1.
And all the vehicles will be at the 100%, and we're calculating based on national statistics that there's 1.5 cars per apartment, so you've got 200 and I think that's 40 cars. And I think we came up with
40,000.
Somewhere
No,
around
I think that's great. I just think this was misleading, and I was trying to make
$140,000
sure
a
that
year. just in
everybody's on the same
car
page.
tax plus the personal property tax, so when that's complete. So you have to add that into the 26 plus the other numbers you gave. So it starts to add up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Which I think is great for our town, and I think it's going to be a beautiful building. Thank you.
Okay.
Buildings.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Further council comments or questions? I would just want to make a couple comments. I want to thank you, Joe, for all the work you've done in the town and for your commitment to Weathersfield, for making an investment of about $50 million over time in Weathersfield. We appreciate your passion for Weathersfield, and this has been a long blighted property for over 10 years. It's been a priority of this council to see that developed, and we're grateful. And, this is a property that's been an eyesore, and we are thankful, and we look forward to what's going to happen over the last several years and we appreciate the $50 million that you're investing, and your, as I said before, your passion for Weathersfield and wanting to do a project in Weathersfield, and we look forward to the housing and the opportunities for people to live there. So with that, I'm going to ask for a vote and call the question. Councilor Dirk.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't going to comment tonight because this was kind of like a no-brainer to me. But a few comments came up, so I'm just going to say a few things quickly. First of all, thank you for coming to Weathersfield. I think it's going to be a beautiful project. For somebody who's been a liaison to EDIC Commission and to RDA, I know that we have a number of properties in Weathersfield that have been in poor condition for many years, and there is no guarantee that somebody, just because they purchased it, they're going to build no matter what. So I would rather see $1 million in income down the road in the long term than bet whether you're going to invest there or not, whether they give you approval or not. So I know, and there are a number of properties in Weathersfield that I would love to see redeveloped, and I think this is a great project for a long term. I also want to make a small comment, because I'm a businessman. I'm not on top 1 or 2% either, not even close to your numbers. But would I like to see there's something different? Yes. But a lot of people have guts to come on and say what to do with your money. I think this is a lot better they're going to do than what we have right now. And for anybody who's got better ideas, just go out there, buy the property, invest your money, or borrow the money and see how it goes. So yes, there are a lot of different things that can be done, but I think what you're going to do is beautiful. I think it's going to benefit the town greatly, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, and I want to thank Fred and Walt and all the staff. You guys have been great. I've worked in a lot of towns, and I got to say, this is a very business-friendly town. You really work hand in glove, and a lot of times it becomes adversarial. And in Weathersfield, I've noticed it's really different, and I don't mean that. I mean it in a positive way, that you know what you want. You're very good about telling us what you want, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the work and hard work we've put in the last year to do this. So thank you, everyone.
Tell all your friends to come invest in Weathersfield.
Huh?
Thank you. I said, tell all your friends to come invest in Weathersfield.
I will.
Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate working with you, and you know, thank you very much. So I'm going to call the question if I don't see it.
Need to stay up here?
No.
No.
Thank you.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Moving on in the agenda, folks, and I don't have the next piece. There's no unfinished business.
That's it, we're done.
Yeah, no?
No, we're not.
Yeah. So we have no ordinance, we're back to the second public comment. We're getting towards the end of our agenda, and now I invite folks to come back up, or new folks. Yes, please. Yep. And just name and address again for the record, please. Thank you.
Laura Mullally, 46 Sunset Boulevard. I do want to give kudos to Weathersfield for the pathway on Hart Street to get up over the Putnam Bridge. That's great. I want to be sure I compliment and say great job. And I know there's a new plan for a new path coming from Old Weathersfield that's kind of in the works. I've heard the meetings on that. I also want to apologize for giving the program the wrong name. It's Vision Zero. I'm not sure what I called it before. I apologize for giving it the wrong name. And I want to say congratulations. I am aware that the town got the award from Connecticut for the work done in the elementary schools. I did see that, and that is great. And I know Walk Bike Weathersfield gets volunteers to do that. I think it's great to teach kids safety on the bike, absolutely. I think we need to consider moving that education and safety awareness program up to the middle school ages, as these kids are now riding these pedal assist bikes, and I've encountered them, and many people have encountered them, and being an avid cyclist, I certainly have an opinion on how these kids are riding these bikes. So I think if we could get these programs, make the middle school kids and their parents aware of what safety is. I don't think the parents want their children to enjoy this activity and visit their friends and go through the neighborhoods. That's great, but there's a little bit of disconnect on the safety protocol and etiquette of riding these pedal assist bikes. Dealing with the e-bike has new laws set in place by our state, Connecticut, that went into. That's a whole nother issue, and there are people I've seen in town on the e-bikes, which means the bikes without pedals, that need a little education on how to be safe and ride in cooperation with the vehicles. So I think it would be great when we can continue to move in that direction as well. I like to hear that we're thinking about safety so that people can be out in their town, moving about, whether it's walking, running, or cycling, and be welcomed and not in fear. I follow what goes on in Rocky Hill. They're not quite as moving forward as Wethersfield has with sidewalks and bike-friendly attitudes, but it's an attitude that we have to adopt, that leadership has to adopt and permeate through citizens, and citizens have to adopt it as well and say we're about safety, we want fun and activity and movement, but we want safety for everyone who's out there. So again, I apologize for calling the program the wrong name. It's Vision Zero, correct?
That's okay, Vision Zero, yes.
And by the way, I have two sons serving in the United States Navy. One is in the article and one is overseas. So thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening.
Thank you for them, thank you. Further public comment, Mr. Woodward.
Thank you.
Christine, did you have your hand up? No. No, okay. Okay. Thank you. Bob, you're up.
Bob Woodward, 456 Middletown Avenue here in Wethersfield. I just wanted to speak about the Wethersfield ambulance. I was very disappointed to hear Councilor Bailey confirm what I had heard, that the Wethersfield ambulance is not functioning anymore. It seems strange to live in this town after almost 70 years and not have the ambulance functioning. I read something in the Rare Reminder, there was an ad from the town of Cromwell, the fire department, looking for volunteers for the ambulance. The ambulance service there is part of the fire department. I asked someone a while ago connected with the ambulance, why wasn't the Wethersfield ambulance ever connected with the fire department? And he said, I don't know, I wasn't here 70 or 69 plus years ago when the ambulance service was born. Would that have made a difference? I don't know. I talked to someone in a nearby town east of the river who described how their ambulance works. Can we go out and look at other possibilities of what the ambulance services are in some of the communities and look to revive the Wethersfield ambulance? The ambulance in that town actually makes the decision if a professional service needs to be called and what professional service, depending on what part of town they're in. And they pay per diem. But there's lots of models out there, and I'd like to see us do something to bring the Wethersfield ambulance back. They were celebrating nearly, you could have read a proclamation, Mr. Mayor. 70 years, I think someone said at one point this coming year in 2026. It seems strange to lose them after almost 70 years. I hope we can do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Further public comment, Mr. Young.
Good evening, Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. I agree with Mr. Woodward about the Wethersfield volunteer ambulance service. It's going to be tremendously missed. Luckily, I've never had to use it, but it's going to be missed, and that's just too bad. It's just too bad how politics plays into it all. Getting back to the referendum, we're going to be looking at paying $239 million for this renovation of schools. And during the second week after the explanatory text came out, I requested what was the interest on this from the town manager. And they had to somehow put together some numbers, and it turns out that he had no intentions of telling me what the whole $239 million was going to be worth in interest costs over the 20 years. He told me to go to the state of Connecticut. Well, the state of Connecticut didn't put this information together. The town of Wethersfield consultants and the advisory board, school board, put these numbers together. And to deny me that number was pathetic on the part of the town manager. He should have been neutral. Instead, he was pro one side, holding back information and not letting that information out. He did produce for the town side, the 88 million side, but he didn't produce for the 239 that his own people put together. And this is disgraceful to the citizens to not know how much this is going to cost, because all of us citizens pay not only town tax, we pay state tax. Whether it's a sales tax, whether it's gasoline tax, it goes right on down the line. And it all rolls up to the state of Connecticut. And we should know what these costs were. So I extrapolated and looking at these numbers. I took his 88 million, and as he reported, interest was going to be $41,800,000. That is almost half of your 88 million, because I originally looked at it and said 4.75%. Well, if that were 5% over 20 years, that'd be 100%. So this is running closely to 90-some% of the 888 million times 90-some%, we come up with $41.2 million. So almost half is interest, but he didn't want us to know that. He didn't include that in his explanatory text. He withheld that. As a matter of fact, his explanatory text came out, it was announced it was supposed to come out on a certain day, and it was a couple of weeks later it finally showed up. And I found out that a number of people never even got the explanatory text, which is pretty pathetic. But this is Wethersfield. This is how Wethersfield does business. This is called government. Business doesn't do business like that. So anyway, $41,800,000 plus the 88 million is $129 million, rounded off. That's what we have to pay back. $129 million, not 88 million like his explanatory text shows. And really, for all of us, because we all work, we all pay taxes, we all have some kind of income that requires sending in to the state of Connecticut money, we should have known what the full $339 million was going to cost in interest. And by my extrapolation, it's $352 million. I mean, that's a heck of a lot of money. And why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I know there's a couple people spoke about, different councils didn't put up enough money to do repairs. That's not my fault. It's the political party's fault. It's the political party's fault that they didn't put into the budget to take care of the town's buildings. And it's up to the town manager not this manager, but the other prior managers
Thank you, Mr.
that
Young.
should have been watching
Thank you,
and
Mr. Young.
ordering the Board of Education.
Thank
Got
you,
it,
Mr.
Mayor?
Young. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Young.
Ordering the Board of Education to take
Thank you,
care
Mr.
of
Young.
the
Is there any
property.
further comment tonight before we wrap up? Ally?
Good evening, Sally Keating, 109 Church Street. I would like to comment on two different topics tonight. The first is the referendum. As most of you know, I served as the chair of the Wethersfield Invest Now and Tomorrow, or Win It PAC, to advocate for the passing of the elementary school referendum. We chose the color purple to represent the PAC because fixing our schools should not be a Republican or a Democrat issue. It's a Wethersfield issue. I did reach out personally to the Republican town chair and asked to sign a joint statement about it, and I did not receive a response. I have heard some of the comments made about senior citizens regarding paying for the referendum. I want to be clear that I have never made, nor would I make, any remarks stating that maybe seniors should leave Wethersfield if they cannot pay their taxes. I am a senior citizen, and my hope is that no one leaves Wethersfield due to the increase in taxes that are due to the reevaluation and the referendum. On the second topic, many have heard the following, or one of the few different translations, from Martin Niemöller, who was a German Lutheran pastor. Pastor Niemöller wrote this in response to Adolf Hitler and what was happening in Nazi Germany. First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. After the September 15th Town Council meeting, I feel the need to speak out. Let me start by saying that I believe all acts of violence are wrong. No one should be harmed or shot for speaking their mind. The First Amendment is critical to our way of life as it safeguards our fundamental liberties concerning expression and religion. We may not agree, but we are allowed to speak our minds. So if there was a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk due to the silencing of his voice and a protest that his spoken words should be protected by the First Amendment, I understand that. Some of the other comments made about him I completely disagree with. I would like you to read some of the quotes attributed to him, and I want to assure you that I researched the quotes thoroughly. In March 2020, at the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak, he referred to COVID as the, quote, China virus. Then in an interview with Tucker Carlson in 2021, he compared the requirements for certain groups to receive the vaccine as apartheid. Yes, the word apartheid has more than one meaning. However, for most adults, the term refers to the official policy of racial segregation formerly practiced in South Africa involving political, legal, and economic discrimination against non-whites. Being required to have a vaccine is hardly comparable to how blacks were treated in Africa under apartheid. In December 2023, he said that it was, quote, a huge mistake to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and referring to his weekly show, he said, quote, once a week we talk about why the Civil Rights Act was a mistake, end of quote. He referred to Martin Luther King Jr. as, quote, awful and not a good person. In 2024, he said, and I quote, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. In 2023, he claimed that it was, quote, worth a few gun deaths in order to protect the Second Amendment. This was said shortly after the 2023 Nashville school shooting, resulting in the deaths of 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults. The things he has said about the LGBTQ+ community have been described as heinous. He used a Bible verse to try to justify stoning gay people, quote, to death. Kirk called the stoning verse, quote, God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matters. He tweeted, it should be legal to burn a rainbow or a Black Lives Matter flag in public. He also said, we should work to overturn every conviction for those arrested, fined, or otherwise harassed for the hate crime of doing donuts over pride flags painted on public streets. Do I think Charlie Kirk should have been killed? Absolutely not. Do I think he deserves our praise? Absolutely not.
Thank you, Sally. Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further public comment? Anyone? So we have another item on our agenda now, council comments. Does anybody from the council, before we wrap up tonight, have a comment? Councilor Timbrow, yep.
I just wanted to address Christine's comments earlier regarding the board appointments, because I know that this is a concern that I do feel is valid, because I've heard it outside of this chamber with appointments being, or not, I'm not saying all of them, but there's a feel that they are more political than based off of qualifications. So I'm really just bringing it up for further discussion. I don't know if there needs to be more transparency or communication with these appointments, but I do think it goes beyond this chamber, and you know, she's brought it up a few times. So I think it's worth talking about and maybe looking at. So that's it.
Thank you, Councilor Timbrow. Further council comments?
Yeah,
Councilor Clancy?
just to add to that, I've been thinking for some time, it might be a good idea to know. I'd like to know who applies.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
That's a start.
And I think that that's an important part of making a decision.
Yes. I agree.
Some good suggestions. Thank you, Councilor Clancy. Thank you, Councilor Timbrow. Any other councilors? We have no executive session, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Emily, I wish you could second it too. It's your last meeting, but so moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Time for Monday Night Football, I guess.
There you go.
For those of you that like it.
I don't know.
Well said. I couldn't